That was by far the hardest training session slash test I've ever done. I've never pushed myself harder in anything. Quite like that. That was brutal. That was absolutely brutal.
Alright, here's the deck lid. This is the V2 deck lid.
We were put on this earth to do great things. But the challenges, ladies and gentlemen, the challenges had to happen. They must happen.
Oh my God.
Well, good morning, everyone. Welcome back. Another video and another test. That was by far the hardest training session / test I've ever done. I have never pushed myself harder in anything quite like that. That was brutal. That was absolutely brutal. But we got through it, got done with it. And now I'm gonna go a little bit over my thoughts on it, how it went, what I think I could have improved on, time obviously, and just a couple of other little pointers that I have for it, the run test. I wanna make a quick shout out as well. You might have seen right after, I put in somewhere in this video, a video of me doing some pull-ups. So I wanna give a shout out to my biggest follower, the one who watches me the most. So shout out to you, Bennett, and thank you for filming that video. So that'll be included in here, and I'll probably use that in a couple of other videos as well. But shout out to you, Bennett. Thanks for watching. So just a quick thing then, I'll say, this, again, I do like test weeks with my coach. A couple weeks ago was the test week for this that I filmed. This is filmed quite a bit later after the test, but it allowed me some time to think about how it went and to also talk about the new baseline metrics of where I'm training at now and how that differs from where I was before the test in just regular training to how I am now. And I think that's also really important because these tests, we don't just do them just to push it to the limit and that's it. It's not about PRing. It's really about figuring out what my absolute max is so that we can base the next training block off of that time. So I can get a gauge of where I'm at currently before the test or from the test, and how much faster can I go, or what can we do differently with the training after the test as compared to the before the test. As for time-wise, so I did my previous run test. I did a 6:44 minute per mile pace. That was back in August. And this one that I did a couple of weeks ago at the end of January. Yeah, at the end of January. I did a 6:17. So what, 5-6 months difference? And I've dropped nearly 30 seconds per mile on my pace. For me, that's a huge jump. That's a very big jump from the previous result. And it's not like I was exhausted. I collapsed after the last one back in August. And after this one, in this video you saw, yeah, I collapsed again. There was no change in effort level. I pushed it as hard as I possibly could. I could not give anything else to it. But I think I might have been able to gauge it a little bit differently, pace it a bit differently. That's what I meant. I pushed it hard to begin with, but I think I could have pushed it a little bit harder, maybe. That's hard to tell though, because it was, by the end of it, I was dead. It's really about how I finished. At the end, I was running sub 6 for the last 4 minutes, I want to say, which of course is very fast. But I started off at like 6:45. So I started off where I was at on my last one. And I think it was because I kept it in my mind that, oh, that was my last time. I should be able to hold that consistently and then keep progressively pushing it forward as I get to the end. But then I realized about probably 5 minutes in, I was like, I can go fast. I should be going faster. I should be exhausted and I should be barely able to continue running by the end of this. And by the way, it was a 20-minute test. I don't know if I mentioned that. But it's meant to be uncomfortable. It's meant to be extremely painful. I guess that kind of held me back a little bit. And that's something I might change about it the next time I do it, which I don't know when that would be. But it's usually about every 5-6 months to get a baseline. But I have a race coming up at the end of March. So about a month's time. So I think it's 5 weeks or 5 weeks out from it. I won't be testing for quite a bit. And then I got another race at the the middle of July. That'll be the full Ironman. So I probably won't test until after that. End of July, August time again. That'll probably be where I do another test. But getting back to this one, going from 6:44 to 6:17 minute per mile pace. That's a very, very big jump. I'm super happy with it still. Maybe if I changed my pacing, I might have gotten another second per mile, but it would not have been that big of a difference if we're being completely honest. But out of the 3 disciplines, I think the one I've progressed, I don't want to say the slowest in, but the one I haven't made as big a strides as I thought I would was in the run. Partially because the other 2 disciplines to me, the bike and the swim, were new. So naturally I should expect with newbie gains, I should have expected those 2 would be considerably higher in terms of improvement than the run, because I've been running for years and years and I've always done running. But yeah, it was a little bit of a hit to me, like seeing the other 2 test results and seeing how big of a jump I made with those 2, and then seeing this it wasn't as big as I wanted it to be, but I still crushed it. Yeah, I should stop thinking like that. I crushed it. I did. I'm kind of just speaking this out through the camera as much as I can, but I want to talk a little bit about though how I was able to improve so much with the run as well. And I think a majority of this just applies over to the biking and to the swimming as well, or to really any other discipline, honestly, strength work, anything of the sort. But first one I have written down, do your hard runs hard and do your easy runs easy. For the longest time, I always thought that you should do all of your runs hard. That was just ingrained in me from the beginning. I always wanted to do my runs as fast as possible. And if I had a 30-minute easy run, that meant that I should be pretty tired by the end of it. But if I had 30-minute or 60-minute sprint workout where I have 4 by 3 minutes hard, I should be dead by the end of that. But as I've matured and as I've gained more experience with training and seeing how balancing out your programming is so important, doing your easy runs easy actually makes you faster. Do your hard runs hard, of course. Push that. That's what they're meant for. But doing the easy runs easier, with the easier runs, you're focusing on your heart rate. So I keep my heart rate in that zone 2 range, but as you keep striving for progressive overload, you keep striving to go just a little bit faster, but still keeping the same heart rate, because then that over time compounds, and then you get faster and faster. You don't really notice it too much. Like, I think with my easy runs for the past, 3-4 months, I usually do about an hour easy run a week. That'll always be thrown in on like a Tuesday or a Thursday. And I see that run, like the mileage go up just ever so slightly. It goes from like a 7.62 to like a 7.64. Like, super, super tiny difference. You won't even you hardly even notice it. But that little bit, and then it just keeps going and going and going. Like, it was at 7.5 back in January, the beginning of January. Then it goes to 7.6. Then it goes to 7.7. And then I think the one I did on Thursday of this week, the run I did this week, the hour easy run, I did at I think I did 7.7, 7.8, or just about 7.8. It's that little bit of a stride of a little bit more, just a little bit more. Consistently going for that little bit more on your easy runs, but still keeping the same base level heart rate. That's where growth happens, because you're training your heart and you're training your muscles. You're training your muscles to function at the same level your heart is at, if that makes any sense. I hope that does. Your heart rate is staying the same, but you're putting out just a little bit more effort through your muscles. Obviously, with the hard runs, you're doing that for speed work. You're doing that to progressively overload that as well. It's all about progressive overload, really, at the end of the day. Second thing that I want to talk about, and I think it again correlates to what I just mentioned, mix in some long runs as well. And that's kind of similar to what I was just talking about with your heart rate. Doing longer runs, as you increase the mileage, you're training your heart to sustain that level of effort over longer durations, so that when you go into race day or when you go into the test, which is going to be probably shorter, or it should be shorter than your longest runs, when you go into that race day, your heart is already acclimated to longer efforts. It can sustain that heart rate for longer durations than what you'd be doing in a race or a test. And that really helps to develop more consistency, but it also helps to develop a new baseline for your heart rate. It allows you to get acclimated to a higher threshold of power without actually pushing it harder. You're training hard, but you're not doing it through hard intervals. You're doing it through longer distances. And that's really good to mix in to improve your running performance. Next thing I want to mention, strength training and biking. And my other disciplines and the other stuff that I've done helps develop other areas of the leg musculature. When you do running and biking and leg strength training, each one of those disciplines, I'll call it for now, each one of them, you're going to feel a different area of your muscles, of your leg muscles working. I could go into the science behind it, of what makes that happen, what the type 1, type 2A, type 2B muscle fibers. You don't really need to know that though. I mean, if you're interested, please do comment and I will make a video on it. If you're interested about the science of that and how training type 1, type 2A, type 2B fibers is different, and how you train those different fibers to strive for more consistent, or I should say more growth. But each one of those workouts is going to hit different areas of your leg muscles. And as you develop like a whole round approach onto your legs, the strength training affecting some muscle fibers, and then you've got the biking doing other muscle fibers and the running doing other muscle fibers. That combination, you'll see bigger strides because you're developing the muscles as a whole. You're not just focusing on one area and hammering it to death. Instead, what you're doing is taking a more holistic approach and getting the entire leg musculature incorporated and worked, which just leads to overall growth at a faster rate as well, because you're not taxing the same muscles through just the same discipline. Last thing I want to mention, actually there's two more things, and I'll mention the last one because it was the first thing I said in the last video, and it'll be the last thing I say in this video. But the first thing I want to mention before that though is sprint intervals. Incorporate sprint intervals of varying lengths. There are weeks where I do like a 4 by 6 minutes hard, and there are other times where I incorporate 12 minutes easy on my long runs with like a 1 minute effort hard. And I do that 6 times on my longer runs. In fact, that's what I actually did yesterday. It was hour 45 run, and I did 12 minutes at an easier pace, still relatively hard. It's like base work, around zone 2 to zone 3. Keeping the heart, I think my heart rate was around 153 to 155, around there. And then 1 minute hard. So not all out, not sprint, but fast. Having those different varying lengths of sprint intervals, incorporating easy sprint intervals, or not easy. Incorporating short sprint intervals and also incorporating longer ones, like in the 4 by 6 minutes hard, it allows your body to adapt more to varying degrees of hard effort. So the 6 minute, you have to focus more on pacing. You're doing a 6 minute sprint interval, you have to focus on, okay, I can't go sprint all out in the first minute of that, because then your body is going to have gone straight through the ATP PC system and gone through all of that energy, and you're just going to be burnt out. There's different energy systems that your body utilizes for performance that you have to be able to gauge. Okay, the 6 minute one, I have to pace more. I can't just rely solely on the ATP PC system. I might have to rely on the oxidation. Whereas with a 30-second sprint, you can just rely on the ATP PC system and sprint all out. That's the first thing. Having those varying degrees of working different energy systems, that helps with overall run performance. But also doing those different varying lengths of intervals, you're training the different muscle fibers as well. So there's fast twitch and slow twitch as well. Hitting all of those different levels, it's the same thing with like the hard runs hard, easy runs easy, and with doing this strength training. It's all the same thing. It's hitting different energy systems and it's hitting different muscle fibers. And that allows for a more well-rounded overall approach on the legs and to increasing performance. And the last thing that I probably said it in my FTP test video. I definitely said it in the last video, consistency. It's the number one thing. It'll always be the number one thing. If you don't do it consistently, you're not going to be able to see results from it. It's that simple. But yeah, those are some of the things that I've focused on and some of the things that I incorporate into my training to help me improve my run. But I'm still very happy with it. After kind of like working it through and talking all this out, granted, my speaking skills are not the most flattering for camera. So sorry if this sounds a little bit all over the place, but I hope you're able to take something away from this. If anything, focus on consistency before anything, and then start incorporating the other training disciplines so that you can focus on hitting the other muscle fibers and the other energy systems. I'd say probably hitting different energy systems with varying sprint intervals is probably the next step after consistency, and then incorporating strength training and biking to hit the different muscle fibers. That's the next progression after hitting different energy systems. But hopefully you were able to take something from that, from my spiel there. I want to just leave you guys with one quote before I end this video as well. Progress is meant to feel uncomfortable. I don't know who said that. I just had it written down on my notepad here. But progress is meant to feel uncomfortable. It's not meant to be easy. And if it was easy, everyone would do it. And not everyone does it. And it's not easy. It's meant to be painful. It's meant to suck. And that's where real growth happens. When you push yourself hard enough, you see progress over time. But as I say at the end of every video, train hard, train frequently, find results. I'll see you guys next time.